Intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic, intergalactic.
Warning. I chain smoke and I say fuck a lot. But I accept myself for the way I am. I accept you too. Viewer discretion advised.
David Asimov is the son of science fiction writer Isaac Asimov. He achieved notoriety in 1998 with child pornography and felony exploitation of a child in Sonoma County, California. Following the discovery of, quote, maybe the biggest child pornography collection in Sonoma County history, these charges never resulted in incarceration. Instead, Asimov was sentenced to 6 months of house arrest with an electronic monitoring bracelet, creating a public uproar and complaints of a cover-up. I had no clue who Isaac Asimov was. Now I do. Isaac Asimov was an American writer and professor of biochemistry at Boston University. He was known for his works of science fiction and popular science. Asimov was a prolific writer who wrote or edited more than 500 books and an estimated 90,000 letters and postcards. Postcards. I've written a few postcards myself. I couldn't even tell you how many emails I've written. His books have been published in 9 of the 10 major categories of the Dewey Decimal Classification. You remember that? I kind of remember that system, I just forget how it worked. Asimov wrote hard science fiction, along with Robert A. Heinlein and Arthur C. Clarke. Asimov was considered one of the big 3 science fiction writers during his lifetime. And he also wrote I, Robot, that movie with Will Smith.
There's no way my luck is that bad. Oh, hell no.
Asimov described Carl Sagan as one of the only 2 people he ever met whose intellect surpassed his own. The other, he claimed, was the computer scientist and artificial intelligence expert Marvin Minsky. Holy shit. He was accused by Virginia Jeffrey. David Asimov, the biggest child porn processor in California, skated away from federal prison with a little help from his friends. David Asimov of Santa Rosa, the son of late science fiction writer Isaac Asimov, was sentenced on March 28, 2001 to 6 months home detention with electronic monitoring and 3 years federal probation for possessing child pornography. U.S. District Court Judge Maxine Chesney sentenced Asimov after reviewing a series of sealed psychiatric reports, one of which was ordered by the court. Asimov, who was charged with 4 federal counts of possession of child pornography, with each count carrying a 5-year sentence, pled guilty to 2 counts in a plea bargain deal. There was no forfeiture of any of Asimov's assets in this case, despite his owning a home in Santa Rosa purchased in 1996 for $375,000, and despite his receiving $3,000 a month from his father's estate. How did Asimov, who possessed one of the largest stashes of pornography in California, skate away from federal prison? A look at the players yields the answer. Asimov's child porn stash was so big, many perpetrators would have taken a fall had Asimov been zealously prosecuted at trial. Asimov would probably have escaped detection if he had not taken his personal computer to a store when its scanner and color printer malfunctioned. A technician working on the machine discovered images of children engaged in sexual acts with adults. A store supervisor contacted the police. Police raided Asimov's 4-bedroom home with a search warrant and discovered the largest child porn processing center ever discovered in California. There were thousands of discs, thousands of videos, said Sonoma County Deputy District Attorney Gary Medvigi, who personally referred to Asimov's home as a processing center for child pornography. Anything imaginable regarding sex between human beings and human beings, or human beings and animals, was there. Whatever your imagination can conjure up, he had it. It was like walking into a TV studio. Santa Rosa police seized scores of computer discs and about 4,000 videocassettes from Asimov's home. Approximately 1,000 of those videos contained child pornography. Medvicki said he had evidence to show Asimov distributed child pornography through the internet on at least a few occasions, which would constitute a felony. He said Asimov had 14 video machines arranged for high-speed editing and copying and possessed cases of blank tapes. In addition to the videotapes and computer discs recovered, police reportedly found video cameras, several VCRs, and a costly tabletop scanner to create computer images. Quote, he had a whole lot of editing and mass production capabilities. Santa Rosa police officer Zamudio said, quote, we were greeted by thousands of tapes, discs, periodicals, and commercial videos with covers showing child porn. We spent 2 days collecting, packaging, and transporting all the items. Sonoma County District Attorney J. Michael Mullins covered up the case, let the public believe the feds would prosecute it more thoroughly, and then passed the cover-up to U.S. Attorney Mueller. In March of '98, Asimov was arrested in Sonoma County and charged with 2 counts of felony exploitation of a child and possession of child porn. Asimov faced a maximum state penalty of 6 years. The identity of the child whom Asimov allegedly exploited was never revealed to the public. Asimov was arraigned in Sonoma County Municipal Court, with bail set at $250,000. He spent a few days in jail. His lawyer, Andrian, said Asimov had the money to post bail, but preferred to attempt to get out on his own recognizance. In fact, a few days later, Judge Frank Pasalaka released Asimov, after having been told no local victims were identified in the porn seized from Asimov's home. Thus, within only a few days of his arrest, Asimov was released. Asimov was released because the police happened to know no local victims were involved? How could they have known so fast? Obviously, the Sonoma County Court didn't care that the victims who were not local may have been involved. Someone's child was on those tapes. As far as local victims, we don't know of any. There are some homemade tapes. Sonoma County Deputy District Attorney Gary Medvicki told the judge, why was a distinction made by the Sonoma County judge and district attorney regarding determining if Asimov's tapes involved local victims as opposed to non-local victims? What did District Attorney Mullins consider to be local? Within Sonoma County? Within California? Medvicki also acknowledged to Judge Pasalaka that the investigation was still in its infancy because of the massive amount of material taken from Asimov's house. Despite the investigation being in its infancy, Judge Pasalaka sent Asimov loose. By releasing Asimov on his own recognizance, the Sonoma County judge and prosecutor made it clear that they considered the case to be lightweight. There was no pressure on Asimov to turn in any of his Confederates or to spill the beans. He was ordered released on the condition he stay away from children, computers, and the internet. The public was expected to feel safe because Pasalaka sternly told Asimov he would have to comply with a list of conditions, including observing a curfew and allowing a probation officer to search his house at any time, and would have to take random chemical tests and engage in psychological counseling. In July of '98, before a preliminary hearing commenced, which would have put the massive amount of evidence before the public, suddenly Sonoma County Deputy District Attorney Gary Medvicki announced that U.S. Attorney's Office in San Francisco agreed to prosecute Asimov, 46, thus relieving Sonoma County of the prosecution. Sonoma Superior Court Judge Frank Pasalaka conditionally dismissed the 2 felony charges against Asimov related to distributing child pornography. Pasalaka stated the charges were dismissed only so federal authorities could file their case, and would be reinstated in 30 days if for some reason federal authorities did not proceed. Medvicki tried to convince the public that the reason for the dismissal was that his office was limited in its ability to investigate the sources and possible distribution of the enormous amount of child pornography found in Asimov's home. Medvicki also cited the fact that much of Asimov's porn came from the internet and involved out-of-state and international sources, which made it more appropriate for federal authorities to take over. At this point, J. Michael Mullins apparently wanted the public to believe that the federal government was going to do a much more extensive prosecution of Asimov than Sonoma County authorities were able to do. However, Asimov's attorney shed light on the true reason for the dismissal. Chris Andrian said he believes Sonoma County prosecutors handed the case to the feds because they had weak evidence of any felony being committed. Skating away from prison was on Asimov's mind. Deputy District Attorney Medvicki stated about the dismissal, "We had hoped to show it was not just for his personal viewing pleasure." U.S. Attorney Mueller delivered a sweet plea bargain to Asimov. After having found thousands of images of child pornography in Asimov's processing center, District Attorney J. Michael Mullins washed his hands of the matter very carefully. Mullins' office and the Santa Rosa police made public statements that they spent weeks analyzing the pornography to determine whether Asimov was involved in production or merely possessed it for personal gratification. "I couldn't tell you if it was for personal use, national use, or international use," Medvicki said. "It's just too early to say." Asimov was indicted by a federal grand jury in November of 1999 on 4 counts of possessing images of child pornography. Because the grand jury transcript has not been released to the public cannot determine whether evidence of distribution and sale of pornography was ever presented by the U.S. Attorney. Did the grand jury see all 1,000 videotapes of horrendous child pornography found at Asimov's home? If so, why did they only find 4 instances where pornography was possessed by Asimov? Did the grand jury see any evidence that Asimov transmitted or received the pornography via the internet on his computer, or manufactured it with his cameras, 14 video machines, and high-tech scanner? Who were the children depicted on the tapes? Was the grand jury given any explanation by U.S. Attorney Mueller? In December of 1999, Asimov pled not guilty in federal court and was released on his own recognizance. Again, this type of release put no pressure on Asimov. Asimov enjoyed more balmy days at his Santa Rosa home. The 2 previous charges in Sonoma County included distribution of child pornography and felony exploitation of a child. The federal indictment did not include these charges, and only included lesser charges that Asimov possessed child pornography by downloading images from the internet into his computer and onto a floppy disk. The federal charges also included the possession of 1 videocassette and 1 foreign magazine with images of children engaged in sex acts. Each of the 4 federal counts carried a potential sentence of 5 years in prison. In the summer of 1999, U.S. Attorney Mueller engaged in a plea deal with Asimov by dropping 2 counts. At this point, Asimov and his attorney were close to obtaining a sentence which would not involve state prison or forfeiture of assets. Mueller dropped the ball on the Asimov case. Because of the sealed grand jury testimony and sealed evidence, the public will never know the details about the 1,000 images of child pornography Asimov used and created and stored. The public is expected to believe that Asimov never distributed any of this pornography. From whom did he obtain this pornography? No public evidence hearings were ever held. Mueller did a good job protecting child pornographers in California. Judge Maxine Chesney let Asimov escape federal prison by using psychiatric evidence as a basis for the sentence. U.S. Attorney Mueller, District Attorney J. Michael Mullins, the Santa Rosa Police, the FBI, and U.S. District Court Judge Maxine Chesney all taught Mr. Asimov his lesson. They also taught a lesson to the children depicted in Asimov's 1000 videotapes who suffered during the making of these brutal sexual exploitation tapes. These children, unlike Asimov, will not be able to put this matter behind them. Their fate, if they are still alive, makes Asimov's 6-month sentence of sitting at his house with a GPS anklet look like a day at the beach. So Robert Mueller, who's pretty famous now because of the whole Mueller report, helped Asimov's plea deal, which allowed for the light sentencing later. Not only did he not have to go to jail, he didn't even have to register for a sex offender. Not that I could find. You have to wonder why. Why was he let off so easy? Well, let's see what his father was about.
What we need is some sort of federal world government, and the only problem is how we manage to do that.
Fucking stoned.